As I mentioned, this quilt starts with a jelly roll. You're going to sew those strips together. And one little tip I'd like to give you when you sew them together, make sure that you reverse the direction of your stitching. So if you sew one set in one direction, you're going to stitch on down the other way for the next set. And then you're just going to keep rotating direction as you go. The reason for that, if you stitch all of those seams in the same direction, sometimes your fabrics just sort of naturally bend to one direction or the other. May not be anything that you've done wrong, they just kind of shift one way or the other. So by rotating your stitching direction, you prevent that from happening. Now the instructions show you exactly how to cut apart to create 2 panels of those strip sets. And then in between, we are going to insert a Migrating Geese unit. This part's really fun to put together. Let me show you how that comes. So first we start with 1 square of your white fabric and a half square triangle of your black fabric. And this may feel a little different for you, but you're going to stitch along both of those 90-degree edges of your triangle. So you're stitching here and here. Let me show you what that looks like. I've stitched down one side, now I'm just going to rotate my fabric around and stitch down the other. So you end up with a piece that looks like this. You can see my red stitching down both sides of that triangle. Now we're going to cut diagonally right up to our stitching line. So I'm going to line up my ruler on the point of my white square all the way on up to the point of the black, and we'll snip. There we go. And now you want to press these units open, but what you end up with is a left and a right Migrating Geese unit. So we'll give those a quick press. There we go. Just like that. And you're going to create several of each of those, your left and your right units, and then just kind of stack them together so that they don't get mixed up. Now to begin that flight path, we do have to start with a straight edge. So here I've got one of my right angle units, and I'm going to attach this to a smaller triangle. You'll see those dimensions, of course, in the instructions. So I'll flip this over, and this is really just a partial seam that you're stitching because it only extends partway down that white portion of our unit. There we go. Now the next step is just to press that open, and you've got kind of a funny looking piece right now, but it's going to come together really cool. So we'll give that a press. Okay. And now I'm going to give myself a straight edge. So I'm just going to cut right across here. You could do this now or do this later. I like to just get it out of the way now. So I'm going to give it a little cut. So I'm cutting off the tip of that white triangle that's left. So here is the base of my Migrating Geese unit. So now I'm going to add one of my left units, and it is placed right along the side here. So I'll flip it over. And to line this up before you stitch, I like to just line up this square corner here. You can kind of see that we have a corner on the back of our first unit there. And that's a good way to make sure that everything's straight and it's going to be in the right direction after we stitch it. And then I also just kind of check all the way down my triangle. And now we're going to stitch along this edge with our 1/4 inch seam. Okay, so this is what we have now, and our Migrating Geese unit is coming together. Now I'll take another of my right units and add it on in the same way. And then you're just going to keep adding left and right Migrating Geese units until you get to the top of your strip. So let's say I've reached the top of my Migrating Geese strip. Now I've just got to add 2 white triangles to square off that top edge. First I've got a large one that goes here. And I just line up the point of my triangle with my seam line, and then we'll give it a quick 1/4 inch seam. There we go. Now we can press this open. And we'll add our final segment to the top edge. This guy goes right here. Now we'll press one more time. And we have a squared off corner on our Migrating Geese unit. Now here you can take a ruler and a rotary cutter and just kind of even up that top edge. So if it's not perfectly square, if you've got a little excess, you can just even it right up. There we go. And then your Migrating Geese unit is ready to be inserted in between the 2 strip-pieced panels that you'll follow the instructions to create. I hope that you've enjoyed learning about this fun, vibrant, colorful quilt that you can create quickly and easily, and we've learned a new technique with the Migrating Geese units. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. My First Quilt is brought to you by Baby Lock, Madeira, and Hobbs Batting.